Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Jamaica's Prime Minister announced September 3rd as the date for general election. This story takes the lead in our 919th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 13th August 2020. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Prime Minister of Jamaica Andrew Holness made the announcement in Parliament on Tuesday, 11th August. Holness said that he has advised Governor General Sir Patrick Allen to dissolve Parliament on Thursday, August 13th, making way for nomination day on Tuesday, August 18th. We will be quick, we will be efficient, we will be peaceful, Holness said, following the declaration. He noted that the nation will go to the polls during a pandemic, adding that the kind of campaign to which we were accustomed may not be the kind of campaign that will materialize. The Prime Minister said even though the coronavirus impact on the economy will continue to be felt in the coming months, he is satisfied the private sector has been fully mobilized, saying they participated in its recovery and are eager to get on with the business of the country. Additionally, he said, I have no doubt in my mind that Jamaica will recover stronger. I have no doubt in my mind that we will build back stronger. Some 1.9 million Jamaicans were registered to vote on the last voters list published on July 31st. The incumbent Jamaica Labour Party JLP and the opposition People's National Party PNP will be the main contenders in the election. The first since the JLP claimed a one-seat win over the PNP. Over in Trinidad, the United National Congress has requested the recount of 5 marginal constituencies, 3 of which began on Tuesday, with 2 more scheduled for Wednesday, according to the party's PRO Anita Haynes. At a press conference called on Tuesday afternoon, Haynes told reporters they will also be bringing a number of discrepancies they noticed to the attention of the EBC. As she told TV6's reporter Cindy Raghubar Tika Singh, one of those issues is how the Prime Minister declared the election while they still had a lot of polling station results outstanding.
The UNC is calling the Prime Minister's declaration of a 22-19 PNM victory on Monday night as premature. The UNC's public relations officer and now elected MP for Tabaquite, Anita Haynes, says they are not going to concede Monday's general election until requested recounts are completed in 5 marginal constituencies, namely La Joquita Talparo, San Fernando West, St. Joseph, Toco Sangre Grande, and Tunapuna.
By the time the Prime Minister declared his victory, I don't know that any of us, had any numbers. We were still waiting on polling divisions to come in. A number of people were still waiting on count. So, I don't know where they got their numbers from to declare so early. But they did in fact declare. And as I said, we chose not to concede. So, the declaration of the Prime Minister declaring himself Prime Minister, Keith Rowley declaring himself Prime Minister, seemed a bit premature.
She says it cannot be lost on the public that no independent observers were present on Monday.
We want to also put it very clearly in the space of the absence of election observers. We do not want that conversation to get lost at all. We requested election observers. We want the irregularities to be understood in the space where there were no independent observers.
And so, without a recount, Haynes says they will not declare defeat at the polls.
Until we clear the discrepancies, the irregularities, with the EBC. We will share the letter with the EBC first, and then we will share it with the press. But as it stands right now, the United National Congress is awaiting the results of recounts in 5 key marginal seats. And until we get those, we have not conceded the elections 2020.
Asked whether or not the party was now questioning the leadership of the party, she said all candidates have full confidence in their political leader.
The United National Congress has very clear internal processes in terms of how our leadership is chosen. Our leadership was elected with a very huge mandate. And when our elections are due, we will have elections. But until then, the question of leadership does not arise in the UNC. We have full confidence in the political leader of the United National Congress.
That election is due sometime next year. Meanwhile, the recounts were expected to commence at 3 p.m. today for the Toco Sangre Grande, San Fernando West, and St. Joseph constituencies, while the other two, La Joquita Talparo and Tunapuna, are expected to begin tomorrow. Cindy Raghubar Singh, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
When the Prime Minister announced on Monday night that his party won a second term in government in the way he did, one political analyst said he was not surprised, given how the media had been accessing election results from the political parties and the EBC. The analyst also answered the question as to whether the Prime Minister continues to serve as Prime Minister until he is sworn into office, as he spoke about what the recount of 5 constituencies mean for the leadership of the UNC. TV6's Joel Brown reports.
Political analyst Dr. Winfred James tells TV6 News, from election to election, the political parties are witnesses to the tabulation of the results on the night of a general election.
But somehow the media do not connect up with the parties to keep, shall we say, in step with the counts as they are delivered by the EBC officials. And I always find that surprising. And so we all caught with our pants down, so to speak. So we are telling the nation that we are a long way off from knowing how the results are trending.
Dr. James said the media are also a long way off from tabulating the figures from the various polling divisions.
And then the Prime Minister is brought on, and he says that he's declaring the elections based on the results that he has.
We posed the question to Dr. James as to whether the media should also approach the EBC on the matter.
We do know that media houses elsewhere do, in fact, provide real-time updates of the elections as they are released by the elections body. So yes, the answer is yes. I don't know if that is a precise solution to the problem, but I do know that a greater accommodation should be made between the EBC and the media, given the role of the media in bringing information to the public.
And while it was Dr. Rowley who informed the public that his party won the election, there's a delay in his swearing in as Prime Minister and whoever he selects to be Attorney General, in light of recounts in 5 constituencies that were requested by the UNC and won by the PDP.
I haven't checked the Constitution lately. Now and then you have to refresh your memory on these matters. But I believe he is the Prime Minister until he is declared the new Prime Minister. He is the Prime Minister, the sitting incumbent Prime Minister, runs the country. And I imagine with the Attorney General.
Under the Constitution, the government is formed when the Prime Minister and the Attorney General are sworn into office, but Dr. James has said they cannot make decisions like appointments or on state expenditure on big projects until this is done. As for the UNC not conceding and challenging the results in 5 constituencies,
I hold that view that Mrs. Prasad Bissessa has to save herself, because it is more than time that she resigned from the office of opposition leader, and before I say opposition leader, office of political leader of the UNC, and of course, naturally, consequentially, of opposition leader.
But Dr. James said there's another factor to be taken into consideration.
The way the UNC is organized, and by the way, the PNM as well, we are talking UNC here, is going to be very difficult if she gets support from the grassroots, from the base of the parties. It will be going to be very difficult to force her out in such circumstances.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Turning our attention now to Guyana, where a new and innovative bottom-up approach is what the Minister of Local Government, Nigel Dharamlal, says he will be using to ensure every issue of every citizen is heard across the country. The people must impose themselves on the government and not the government on the people, were his exact words. Here is more from HGP's Wendell Badri.
Newly appointed Minister of Local Government, Nigel Dharamlal, who previously served as a director at the Ghana Rice Development Board and permanent secretary for at least 2 government ministries under previous PPPC administrations, believes he is the man for the job and is happy with his appointment as Minister of Local Government.
I think I go into the ministry, having worked there before too as permanent secretary. I think I'm very versed in the interior and on the ground, traversing every village of our country. So the citizens and the residents of villages in our country can look forward to a very close relationship between my office, between the ministry and themselves.
The minister highlighted that he is eager to put his shoulders to the wheel so as to ensure every region in Ghana is transformed, which is an agenda the president has placed emphasis on.
Bringing the government closer to our people is going to be one of our main thrusts. Also, we intend to work very closely with the regions. The president has indicated to us that he would like to see greater economic investment, greater infrastructural investment, and greater social investment in our regions. And I intend to work very closely as soon as we have our council sworn in to have them begin this process of transforming their regions.
Dharamlal spoke to development from the bottom-up approach rather than a top-to-bottom model. That is, he would ensure the voices of the people are heard and work towards ensuring their needs are met at the community and regional level.
The most important thing is building a closer communication mechanism between the residents of the villages and the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. We cannot effect policy, we cannot effect change unless we collaborate with people. I believe that one of the ways that we will work is that we will consult at every aspect, on every issue at the local level before we make policies.
Even so, this reporter recognized that many villagers do not attend meetings in their respective communities when they are called. Therefore, the reporter saw it fit to inquire of the minister how he plans to ensure the voices of the people are heard with the aim of satisfying the needs of the people. He responded.
I think what we have successfully done as a party before we got into government was that we won 2 local government elections. And we did so by walking to every home, by sharing our views and listening to people. We also won the elections, the national elections, because of the same approach. And whether we have a huge crowd, whether we have a small crowd, I think what is important is that we're able to deal with every issue that confronts us. And so no resident, no citizen should feel alien to our ministry, but we will ensure that we touch every single home and every single issue in our country.
In concluding the discussion with the minister, this newscast inquired how he plans to unite the people of the country through his ministry against the backdrop of not only his party, but also several other parties, regional bodies, among other key stakeholders, admitting that there is division among the electorate.
Naturally, one of the things that we will have to do is, and that is why we will focus so much on a bottom-up approach. We will not be imposing government onto our people, but the people must impose themselves onto our government. And we intend to touch every single village in this country. We intend to touch every single issue that affects every single person.
This newscast spoke with the minister on the sidelines of the president's inauguration ceremony, which was held at the National Cultural Center on Saturday last. President Irfan Ali is the 10th president, but 9th executive president of the country. For HGP Nightly News, Wendell Badri.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.